Dr. Banerjee. You are one of the few. A doctor and researcher within Nero who is empowered to do things that no one else can. You have dedicated your entire life to this. Your mother is known as one of the cornerstones, one of the few individuals who are still alive, part of the initial Nero project, a scientist and a researcher who is well respected and feared amongst all of the sectors. You've lived your life in Sector 7, but unlike your siblings, you have often looked beyond the confines of the isolation, of the walls, of the hermetically sealed life that you've been placed within. Out there, you see possibility and hope, and you have spent your life trying to advance the science that would allow humanity to return. It has put you at odds with many of the other scientists and researchers, but you've made choices for what you believe to be the betterment of all who remain here. You've spent time in the field. You've seen what the world has become, and you know that the rumors and the history books aren't accurate. They don't capture the hope that truly exists in those wild places. You've seen small communities succeed. You've worked tirelessly to advance the research necessary to create some form of inhibitor that might protect against the virus that is still very active. You know the things that very few others know. You know the origin of the virus. You know so much about how it began and what it might do if left unchecked. Your current initiative has brought you into the intersection of a very, very dangerous part of the world. The Pin region. Here, you know there is very unique mutation, advanced mutation that must be studied. But more importantly, this is where the Eurydice project started. This is where you found her, in the wild. Her blood, her very, very unique genetic makeup may be the key that you seek to unlock everything. You're currently inside of one of the mobile research facilities that are set up on the outskirts of Cahoga Falls. It's next to the Manchester River. There is a community that has just been salted, an order that was necessary, one that came from the cornerstones themselves. You're here for a very specific reason. And within this research facility, this polycarbonate white box, it's large. There are aluminum struts, and they hang overhead, and they hold this hermetically sealed vault closed. You are still within your suit, protected against the contaminants that exist in the upside world. However, even though you're closed away behind these layers of plastic and protection and the armor that you wear, there are those here that are not in armor. There's a number of individuals laid out on stretchers in front of you. Some of them have been confined. There are straps holding them down to the examination tables that they're held on. They're comfortable, they're sedated, they're held here for further research. All of the targets that you had designated have been acquired. There are a number of research assistants that are moving through the space right now with you, and strangely enough, you've acquired one of the variants, a mutation one that was wholly unexpected. That variant is being contained in a separate cell. Additionally, you've been informed that the research assistant of Dr. Henry Pascal has been located. Thought lost beyond all hope. This research assistant is very important to you and may have the key that you seek to further your research and to complete the work that your mother started. There are a number of assistants that are moving through. They all have data pads, and they're collecting whatever physiological data might be left over from your initial intake of the individuals in front of you. And then in one of the far chambers on the camera monitoring that you see off to the side, in black and white, you see Dr. Venus pushing a very familiar individual in a wheelchair. Dr. Victor Ramos. Once they have entered in through the alcove and have been decontaminated, there's a spray of mist that encompasses them quickly. Once that mist resolves itself and settles, some of the specters that are lining the wall here, the security forces that are here to protect you and all of the other researchers, they're well armed and armored. They open the doors and usher these two in. Dr. Venus, Dr. Ramos, you were coming to this facility specifically seeking the individual known as Starburst. Is that correct?
Yes.
Among maybe a few other things, yes.
Well, you found more than you expected. Standing there is a face that you recognize. Through the clear plastic sheeting of the helmet, you see Dr. Banerjee.
Dr. Banerjee, good to see you again.
Dr. Venus, it's been a while.
They finally let me loose in above grounds.
I see that.
And I picked up something on the way. Dr. Victor Ramos.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
Dr. Ramos.
Well,
He lost his suit.
I did.
Ah, I see. Ah.
It's a year or two in quarantine for him.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Good to see you.
Pleasure.
Unexpected.
Well, sometimes those are the best of the surprises, aren't they?
I suppose so. This is full of surprises. We should exchange notes
Indeed, yes.
at some point.
I do believe that you were sent here on a purpose, correct?
Victor keeps his cards close to his chest, but it's obvious he's hiding something. We found him in this town that we just assaulted in very poor condition. They'd been attempting to rehabilitate him. I think he lost the one known as Starburst, the girl that is immune.
She's here somewhere.
Is she?
She's in this building.
Oh, good. So she's not far away then.
No.
Dr. Venus was just about to escort me to pay her a visit.
She's not going anywhere. She's in a coma still.
Right, but the subject should be observed by capable minds. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. I think that you two are more than capable. Do you mind if I come along to observe this individual? I've only heard rumors about her.
I would prefer that you do come along.
Fantastic.
Sort of a group trip, I guess. But Dr. Banerjee, before we going this group educational tour, what are you doing here then?
Well, the best I can, I suppose. As you know, you specifically know the limitations that are placed upon us when we're within the confines of our sector. I felt stifled, felt controlled, and I needed some fresh air and perhaps a better inspiration outside those walls. So here, my team and I stand, continuing our research, and hopefully very soon, with enough time and resources, we'll have a breakthrough.
Well, I sure hope so. And, sorry, Victor, adults are talking here. But as you know, we've done a lot of work together, and I appreciate any strings you may have pulled to get me to the facility, if in fact you did. I've been putting in the request for quite some time, and was only accepted till just now, and I don't quite know why.
Well, mum's the word, I suppose, but let's just say that sometimes certain connections work to your favor without you realizing. I'm glad it did on your occasion. Whoever your benefactor must be, they are kind and very generous, knowing your history, but I, for one, respect it very much.
You're being very polite, Dr. Banerjee. I mean, it's my assumption that somebody found her disposable and so sent her out into the wilderness.
Well, I wouldn't know too much about that. All I know for sure is that Dr. Venus has been attempting at the forefront of research for us, and sometimes risks are taken, those risks pay off, or they don't. And unfortunately, in Dr. Venus's case, it didn't previously. It doesn't mean that her mind is any less capable of attempting certain things in the future.
The siren that you hear in the background doesn't affect Dr. Banerjee, who's well acquainted with what it means. Both of you, however, are a little less familiar with this particular notification. The alarm, Dr. Banerjee, means that the mission is complete and that there are incoming agents from the field. There's a lot of noise from beyond the walls of the research facility, but the three of you can go about your business. You know that there are others, though, that may be joining these medical bays very soon, depending on how that mission went.
Understood. Question for you. To go and approach the subject, will we be leaving this hermetically sealed research facility, or is it part?
This facility is a series of tent-like structures, right? The polycarbonate boxes are linked together through these tubes. And so you're going to be traveling through them to a number of different rooms. Those rooms are probably going to contain the subjects that you're looking for. There would not be any other area that they would be held in at this time.
Got it.
While this is a very fulsome encampment, it isn't inexhaustible. And your resources need to be held in a tight formation to keep it from being too noticeable. Currently, there are specters on the outskirts of this facility that are protecting all of you, and it's in a well-hidden area. All of you within Project Nero know that if any outsiders come anywhere near this or even get a sight of it, they're going to be shot on sight, and their bodies are going to disappear forever. So the three of you are within this facility, and you're free to move through it as you see fit.
Got it.
I think that we should move forward and observe the subject. Take advantage of the time that we have.
Certainly. Oh, and Dr. Banerjee, I forgot to mention, there were a few vials that were recovered along with Victor, and he's been working on some things on his own. Isn't that right, Victor?
Well, I believe we're all working on something independently. Isn't that the nature of a facility, an organization just as ours?
Indeed.
Everybody has their own projects.
True, very true. But may I perhaps take a look at these vials?
Of course. Well, they were last in your possession.
I think I brought them along. They might have slipped them in the back of your wheelchair. So we have here this interesting collection of vials. I did use one, as I identified it as a antiviral to help fight the infection, but I guess it was not finished yet. It didn't work quite well. But we have the subject that seemingly passed away while having injected into him, but the body is frozen for further inspection.
Where's this body?
It's just in the frozen bodies facility. It's with all the others.
Fantastic.
There's a number of things that we should look at. Yes, you should take a close look at.
Absolutely. Do you mind if I then place it here, leave it in this facility? I don't wish to take it with us all over the place and possibly cause any damage or issues.
Yes, I mean, you're not going anywhere, are you, Victor?
I'm not going anywhere. How can I go anywhere? Look at the state that I'm in.
Right, so it shouldn't matter where we keep them.
I think it should remain near you.
Fantastic.
That's fine.
Thank you very much. This is definitely going to help with all of the research that we are doing here. It is aligned with what we want, so I think it would be a huge benefit if it is what it is. So thank you. Thank you very much. And I will take it, and I assume that there's going to be a very secure safe of some sort. So
you have a number of secure lockers within the facility. You could place this box wherever you see fit. Despite your kindness in interacting with these individuals, you have run of this facility. For all intents and purposes, it and everything within it is yours.
Fantastic. Well, then I'll take this out of your hands, and I will secure it in one of the lockers. I'm assuming it's going to be one of those hermetically sealed, frozen containers. I'm going to place it in there. He goes, well, shall we then go for our subject?
Yes.
Actually, before we do, if you don't mind, as you know, we've been at the forefront of trying to do further research about the various strains and understanding what it takes to perhaps secure ourselves, or at least have some level of protection. And I know that you have been out in the fields. If you don't mind, we are working on and have not quite perfected, but it is in the early stages. I've taken it myself. A set of protection. It's not a guarantee. It is definitely not a vaccine of any sort. That'd be wild. But it is some level of protection, and we are doing our best to insist all of our personnel in this building take a dose of this, so that it is a form of protection from us.
You mean you want us to take that now?
I would insist, if you do not mind.
One of the assistants of Dr. Banerjee, a nebbish younger man known as Merrick Young, appears behind the doctor, holding a tray with a number of hypodermic guns. They're filled with a familiar blue fluid.
So these are different than the inhibitors that we give to the soldiers out in the fields.
It is similar, but it is at the next level. It is at least there is a number of new strains that are out in the field, we believe. Our research has found new variations, and the hope is that this will protect us from these new variations.
And you've taken it yourself?
I have indeed.
Well, then I see no reason why not to, then.
Would you be so kind if I inject you with this?
That is your wish.
Yes.
You notice that the specters are lining the walls, and that they're all armored and armed.
No, Victor, in the name of science.
Oh, I'm
Shouldn't
not
we try?
resisting at all, but I would like to do a detect motives.
You
if I
may
can.
absolutely roll a detect motives if that is your choice.
I
Have been burned before? Yeah.
I have been burned before, yes.
Last episode by me.
I'm yeah, I just want to, I'm just going to roll. It doesn't matter because I failed. 2 degrees of failure.
Well, I'm sorry. You don't just fail in this game. You have
I
2
don't.
degrees of failure?
2 degrees of failure, yes.
Are you going to spend competency to try to alter that?
No, I mean, I my last interactions with Dr. Banerjee, I trust him, but I am not trusting of a lot of aspects of what I'm encountering here, and so I think you just see for maybe a moment the trust that I placed in you kind of flinch for a second, and then I look around and okay.
My friend, you have nothing to fear.
He's clearly nervous. Everyone sees this. He's sweating, in fact. Could that be, Victor, because you are an individual who have, in the past, used hypodermic needles to get what you want?
100% that is tracking. And as I know in myself, to be someone to take advantage of a moment like this to further an experiment, unbeknownst to the individual receiving the injection. I'm a little nervous about what this actually is, but I know my place, and I shut up and take it.
All right. So everyone receives one of these shots.
Mm-hmm.
It is, per Dr. Banerjee, a shield against the infections within the specific area, an antiviral. But I would like for both you, Dr. Venus, and you, Dr. Ramos, to set the clock in front of you to 15 minutes.
Okay. Oh boy.
No one explained this mechanic now, so
Yeah,
I'm
welcome
interested.
to the timer.
Okay.
Well, now that is done, can we continue to see this little miracle of life?
Indeed.
Yes.
Fantastic. Yes. Please lead the way.
As you begin to move through the facility, you see a number of the Spectre soldiers that have just been brought into intake. They're being decontaminated. You see an individual that is horribly burned. They are currently behind a clear pane of plastic, and you're watching them being scrubbed as entire sections of their remaining charred skin slough off onto the ground. Delta 7, you've been brought back. You're in intense pain. The first thing that happened was you were administered a number of painkillers. Shots, many of them, were injected into your body. Any of the enhancements that you had undergone during your field work have worn off. You're feeling weak and frail. You're watching as doctors move about you on the other side of the glass. It's a familiar sight to you. You know that Agent Mirin is close by, also going through a much easier decontamination process. You have been infected. Your wounds came in contact with the black bile. You know that you have a limited amount of time left. Inhibitors have been introduced into your bloodstream, but you have a matter of hours before everything you know is lost. As is protocol within Project Nero, as a Spectre and a soldier, you're given an option. A quick death, or your death can mean something. You can volunteer and endure horrible pain and be observed as you change, and then held, experimented upon, and eventually dissected once you've changed.
One is more useful than the other.
One of the young researchers, a woman with dark skin, wearing glasses, dark hair, and like startling green eyes, is watching you from the helmed researcher's position, undertaking all of the tests that are necessary to prepare you. Your wounds have been taken care of as best as possible. You've been wrapped in neoprene. There are salves and other things that have been placed upon your charred skin to lessen the pain. There's no healing. They're not trying to help you get better. They're trying to make you more comfortable. Your skin, what is left of it, is numb. You can't feel much of anything, and there's like a hammer, the beating of your heart, as you feel the infection coursing through your veins. You're starting to feel a twist in your stomach. things are becoming hazy, and you know that it's taken root within you. This research assistant is watching you carefully.
I look at her. I'm beginning to experience changes.
Excellent. Let's catalog them, shall we? Describe to me exactly what you're feeling, Delta. So, interesting that you're not vat-born. You're natural. Yet you're designated as a Delta unit. Never mind. Shall we? And the two of you begin walking through all of the different changes that your body is undergoing. We'll come back to you. You three have moved through another series of these research pods. You finally find what you're looking for. You see the young woman. Victor, you know her as Starburst, but she goes by another name, another designation. To those who are within security clearance high enough to know, this is Project Eurydice. She is immune. You have field agents that were within the nest that were conducting very important experiments. Of course, the nest, as you well know, Victor Ramos, it was destroyed. There was a breach. Many of the mutated experiments that were held within that facility broke loose and destroyed everything. You thought your research was lost forever, but here she is. She is in a coma. She's connected to a number of machines, and they are monitoring her heart and her other vitals. And you hear the beeping back and forth of her heart as the monitor clicks throughout the silence of this room. In another cage, it's much smaller, off to the side, there is a capuchin monkey. It is sedated and sleeping. There's a number of corpses that have been contained, sealed in very heavy plastic sheeting, almost vacuum sealed, so that even though they are fully and truly destroyed, they are contained. These are the remains of the last community that was destroyed, that river community. They're laid out on tables, some of them hanging from hooks in the room. But there on the table is Eurydice. The three of you enter.
You see, question to you, DM. This is the first time he's seeing Eurydice since he thought she was lost from the incident, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You see up till now Dr. Banerjee, who has been very professional, very stoic, but, very welcoming, but still very professional, as he enters the room and he sees this subject visibly become excited, very much almost emotional. And he slowly approaches and with a shaking hand touches the gurney that she's laying on. I thought we lost her. Years of research could have just gone down the drain, and here she is. Our Eve, our Mother Mary, whatever you may call her, the future of our humanity is right here. Thank you.
I unfortunately didn't really have much to do with her recovery.
Yes, we actually found her. Victor was too busy clinging to life when we found this group.
Right, but of course that begs to be explained a little bit, don't you think?
Yes, how did
Oh.
the circumstance come about?
Well, I believe your version of the story, Dr. Ramos, is that one of our own, and I quote, attacked his group that was there to recover, who you call Eurydice, or as we call 2B74, and barely made it out alive. And you were tracing.
Well, no, I made it out of the facility very much alive,
I see.
as did she.
Hmm.
And I spoke with her extensively.
Oh, God, she was in good health then.
She was, absolutely. And,
Good,
and
good.
when we left, the helicopter that I thought was picking us up. I'm going to look around at this point. I want to make sure that this part of the conversation is discreet. Is there...
There are researchers and specters all across the room, and within Project Nero, there are always cameras present. You would have to be very cautious about anything you wanted to say that might be considered controversial.
I don't really feel comfortable sharing everything I did share with Dr. Venus, and I
we
hope that I
can
don't...
Talk about it in private, that's totally fine. All we know, though, is that something very bad, obviously, happened to our subject here. She is comatose, but has been taken care of, possibly by members of this community that we just assaulted. And, oh, that's right. Did you hear the report that we found another doctor with Starburst by the name of Dr. Remy Chevalier? Apparently people are looking for her.
That name sounds familiar.
The apparently protege of Dr. Henry Pascal.
Is she here? In this facility?
Yes, she's here. She's who was taking care of us in Rivertown, or whatever this place was called, I guess.
Oh, she took care of you specifically,
And
Victor.
So, is she alive? Is she safe? Is she hurt?
Unclear, but I know she's in the facility.
Could you take me to her?
yeah,
But, okay, but I believe you have something you wish to tell me first.
I
How about we adjourn to my office? And I kind of signal to some of the assistants and point to them and say, keep an eye, or it's your head.
Is that a monkey?
It is indeed a monkey.
Oh, I haven't seen one of those in years.
Find all sorts of wild things out here.
If it's not useful, can I have it?
It is unfortunately in quarantine and is part of the research process, so
Right.
unfortunately. But if you wish to take a look further, we should have plenty of time later on.
Dr. Venus doesn't care to look, she cares to poke and prod.
I'm familiar with her work indeed. Unfortunately, not for this case, but I do have several things I wish to speak with you in the future, so I'm sure we can find you something useful to
Okay.
do.
I have plenty of pets abounding in this facility. It's fine.
Indeed.
If
but
you're going to move back to the offices, you will be outside of the immediate supervision of any of the outside forces, such as cameras or guards. However, Dr. Banerjee, you have the ability to more or less issue commands that would be followed. Do you go to the office now, and is this conversation happening as you move through the hallways?
as long as you feel safe to
I
speak.
will not
Okay.
talk about anything that I feel like is sensitive until we are in the clear in the office. Everything between here and there will be cordial small talk, I'm sure.
It's about
You do
past
move
researches.
past another cell, and this one is holding a revenant. Revenants, once again, are the dead. They are specifically mutated, and these revenants that are often held by Project Nero are dangerous. However, this one is very strange. Her back is turned to you, and you just hear muttering. It sounds like speech, though it's incoherent. And you move forward to Dr. Banerjee's office. The door closes behind you, and you are able to create a safe space where the loop of the video will show all of you, just you really working at your desk quietly, and it will allow you to speak freely.
Right. You see Dr. Banerjee sit back on his chair and think, yes, please have a seat. Sit down.
Look at the chair that I'm already in, and I get more comfortable.
Yes.
All of you see the black and white monitor, and it shows the room with just the doctor in it. And you know that there's something happening. You can turn those off now.
Okay.
Yes, like I said, this cannot be any more secure of a location than any place out there. You can speak as freely as you desire, and I guarantee no one else but myself and, if you wish, Dr. Venus to hear.
Oh no, I have to hear. I'm here. I'm not leaving.
I mean, do you
if you don't
trust
mind,
Dr. Venus?
Well,
Oh, we're old friends.
I do believe Dr. Venus can hold a secret.
I would like Dr. Venus and Dr. Ramos to roll endurance checks, please.
Okay. Oh no. Oh, 5 degrees of failure.
What is happening?
4 degrees of success.
Oh, very well. It's noted. Please, Dr. Banerjee, continue.
Okay. Yes, I believe Dr. Venus can be trusted, and I would say even so far as to say that she can take secrets to the grave. So I believe we are in secure company.
As long as we can trust you, as long as your story holds up.
Well, I guess only time will tell. Dr. Banerjee, the mission that I was entrusted with, the retrieval of Starburst.
Yes.
And of other critical material from the nest was, for the most part, successful until we exited the facility, and what was waiting for us was a helicopter that immediately fired upon us. So,
Really?
someone in Nero knew what we were doing and did not take very much of a liking to it, is my understanding, and left us for dead. From what I can remember, I don't remember everything, but...
Were they trying to kill just you and your group, or also the subject, Starburst?
I don't remember. But if there were no bullet wounds found on the subject, then that should tell us everything we need to know, because they had clear sight of us.
Oh dear.
And I'm the only survivor from that group. The other two that I was with in that instance were mowed down.
Such a waste.
And I have something else I'm not very sure about, and I will point to the back of my neck where there's an incision.
What in the devil?
It's well known, there are tracking chips inserted into most agents. Should they be lost in the field, their bodies can be retrieved. It seems as though Victor Ramos's tracking chip has been removed.
Dr. Banerjee, you know me, we've worked together for a very long time.
Indeed, yes.
And my concern is that when we return to Nero, that the details of my circumstances are going to work heavily against me with the powers that be. I know this looks suspicious. I know it looks like perhaps I had been tampering with my own tracker, which I would never do.
No, I know you. I know your history.
So there is a period of time between the extraction at the nest and me arriving, well, basically here, me somehow ending up in this town by the river, and then waking up here in this facility. And I don't remember very much at all, but I know that I would never do that. Nero means so much to me.
You've given your life to this project, Doctor, and I know that. I trust you.
Thank you.
I would like for Dr. Venus to make another endurance check without any dice of difficulty. I would like Dr. Ramos to make an endurance check with 2 black dice of difficulty.
Oh, wow.
What is that?
I have 5 degrees of success.
I have 5 degrees of failure again.
Ouchies.
It's opposite day. I love it.
You want to trade dice?
It's perhaps your wounds, but you are very woozy.
I slump back in the chair and
It seems like you need to take some rest.
Was in the injection.
I've
Making you feel-
I've gotten it myself. My entire crew has gotten it. It might be perhaps just stress and the wear and tear of travel.
He has been unwell, and he is not wearing a suit anymore, so he could have contracted something else.
I
when he was
highly
about.
doubt that I've contracted something else. You keep your hands away from me. I am not your subject.
Let's keep the tensions down. You're in safe spot. You're in a safe hand. At least as safe as we can be out here.
I need your assurances, Dr. Banerjee. I don't really have much
Breathe.
to reassure me.
Breathe, man. Breathe.
I will admit, Dr. Ramos, that I didn't quite believe you when you first told me you did not take your chip out by yourself. The pattern of your story indicates to a normal person that you were trying to run away. However, you are not an idiot.
The thing about these chips is that they are not meant to be taken by an individual such as us out in the field. It requires specific equipment and specific knowledge. It's meant to be that it cannot be retrieved randomly so that no revenant or whatever being out there can remove it. So the fact that someone did, it indicates someone capable, someone who had the tools, the knowledge to do so. The fact that they knew that there's a chip back there in itself.
How do we know that Dr. Venus didn't remove it?
I did
I
not.
trust Dr. Venus, and I believe, just as I trust you, I hope that you can trust me in knowing.
I do trust you.
I can show you the footage. When you awoke is when I met you.
We are in a group that is aligned in our cause,
To improve, enhance, and protect the human race.
at whatever cost. And in that sense, you are taking too much toll on your body and mind on this mission. And I need you to take some rest.
I'll be fine. I'm okay.
When was the last time you've had food? When was the last time you've had anything at all? Perhaps we can have a meal together. We can relax for a bit. I believe most of our major topics of discussion and importance has been completed, unless you have anything else that you wish to report to me that is absolutely immediate.
That is all for now, at least from me.
Quite.
I would like Dr. Venus and Dr. Ramos to both make endurance checks. Dr. Ramos, you have 4 black dice of difficulty.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god.
I have a 63 over a 65. Is that a wash? Or is that considered a success?
It is considered a success.
Well, I only have 3 degrees of failure this time.
Nice.
Admirable.
Recipes.
There's a moment. Dr. Ramos's head lolls back and forth very slowly. It looks as though he's going to pass out. He's lost so much blood over the past few days that this is not necessarily surprising. He's been weakened. Victor, you're hanging on. You feel your eyes heavily close, and when they do, you hear the sounds of the nest, the gunfire, the shriek of that thing on the ceiling that was climbing across it, that ripped the team in half, that amalgam of human flesh, so unnatural and wrong. You remember all of the screams. as your eyes close and open again, and then you hear the gunshot that took you down to the ground as you thought that you were free with Starburst, standing on the outskirts of that building. And you see Dr. Banerjee in front of you. You see Dr. Venus. What do you do?
I need a shot. I need what we give to the soldiers out in the field.
Yes. We need assistance in here.
One of your assistants rushes in.
Take the doctor. Give them the appropriate checkup and the treatment he needs. It seems he's perhaps very weak.
It's all very overwhelming.
Very well, Dr. Banerjee, as you wish. And the assistant wheels.
We'll have a
Ramos
talk again later. For now, rest, friend.
Don't trust anyone.
What do we have more than trust in this day and age? If that is even gone.
I think I start to drift off after that.
You're wheeled out into these white blinding hallways and these spaces, and it all sort of blurs together. You have no idea where you are anymore. Your mind is reeling. Meanwhile, in your office, Dr. Banerjee, you and Dr. Venus are now alone.
Did you give us different shots, perhaps?
You've seen them yourself. They're the same shots.
I know. I just thought you could speak more candidly now that he's gone.
No, that's our first. I've never seen those symptoms, at least not. Perhaps we need to take a look at the serum once more. And
Well, maybe
I did say it is. I mean, it has made it past all the tests, so I don't know. This is new to me.
Yes, I believe Victor was natural born too, so he's not quite genetically perfect.
That could be true. I mean, at least I thought we took account of that, but there could be variations. What about you? How do you feel? Are you alright?
Oh, I feel pitch perfect.
I'd
No.
like for you to make another endurance check.
Oh my god.
I got 5?
What's your score?
A lot. 11
lot
over
of
65. 5 degrees of 65.
Yeah,
5 degrees.
that's 5.
God dang.
Jeez.
What magical dice do you have?
Oh,
That's
they
great.
weren't here last
They
night.
love
nice
you now.
endurance score.
Dr. Venus, you feel perfectly fine. In fact, there doesn't seem to be anything wrong with you at all.
Well, I know that I'm one of a clean batch, so that could have something to do with it.
Oh, cleaner than the batch that you worked on last?
Listen, I learned from my mistakes, and you've got to break a few eggs to make an omelet, as they say. But
I can't-
Doctor, I see here you have your security system here to make it look like you're alone.
I run the facility. Sometimes I do wish for some privacy, and also there are some research projects that I work on that I'm not quite content to showcase to the public yet. They are a bit more on the forefront, and I don't wish for the wrong hands to get a hold of them, so that's the reason why.
I have been raised by the project to do their every whim, to give my life for humanity, and it's been very fun and educational for me, but working under you, I did learn a few things about breaking out my own little pet projects. So I'm interested to hear what you've been working on up here before I arrived.
Like I said, I felt that being back at the sector, it was very limiting, and especially nowadays with all the politics and what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, the constant change of that definition is irksome. And so I felt that I could serve humanity and our sector and the general public better if I were to be away from it all.
I felt the same. That's why I wanted to leave. After all, I was being punished for that little incident.
Which is quite surprising. It's interesting to see you out in the field with all of that. Do you know?
Like I said, I'm not sure. I thought it was you.
Oh, no. I mean, I thought you had an idea, but I felt that you had some friends that could pull strings, or perhaps a a bit more leniency after a good time, I suppose.
I don't know. I don't have many friends, in case you haven't noticed. But what Victor said did stick with me. If there are people within the facility trying to keep information away from others, that is very concerning.
It
and
is.
I wonder if I was put up here to be gotten rid of.
That'd be strange, considering that this is one of the more predominant and more established of facilities. Even if it was supposed to be a punishment, you would have been placed God knows where, some...
Time will tell.
Time will tell. But until then, I would love to showcase the rest of this facility to you, and perhaps we can find you a position in here that might be of interest.
Certainly. And of course we have our little miracle as well.
Yes, I'm quite excited to work with her again. She was very illuminating last time, and I'm sure we have much more to discuss going forward. But with that being said, shall we?
Of course.
And I suppose I just take her out into the facility to perhaps give her a tour of the rest of it.
You stand, Venus. And it slowly raises inside of you. The wooziness. Everything spins. You stumble.
Doctor, are you alright?
Apparently a little more tired than I thought.
Like I was saying, perhaps we need a meal and rest first then.
Sure. A little catnap never hurt anyone.
And then, as soon as you're ready, we can continue this conversation.
Dr. Banerjee's voice echoes through the small office. You feel the pulsing of the veins at your temples. Your sense of smell is temporarily heightened, and you can smell all the antiseptic throughout the entire facility, the chemicals, the corpses. Everything assails you for a moment as you stumble backwards.
Oh dear.
You nearly fall. You catch yourself on a wall.
Okay, maybe there's something about that shot.
Perhaps I could bring a meal here. 1 second, here. And I pull my chair. Take a seat here.
Sure.
My God, what? I cannot even imagine what sort of a journey you must have had.
You fall heavily into the seat.
Oh.
Your limbs feel like they're covered in lead. Your entire body is on fire. Your veins are burning. And you look at your hand. Purple, black veins are pulsing. You know what that means.
Doctor.
You've been infected.
Doctor, keeping secrets after all.
Black bile issues forth from your lips onto your lab coat, splattering across it. Dr. Banerjee, you're not certain why that took so incredibly long. Perhaps there is something about her talk of being fat-born. Perhaps there is something to the genetic makeup that her specific series is accustomed to that allows them to resist infection. It certainly would be excellent research in the future. However, you have other plans, don't you?
I take a seat in front of you, and as I reach out casually, I pull a gun out, cock it, and I say, "You and I are the same. You know this. All for the sake of science, whatever it takes." Unfortunately, in this situation, what it takes is a fall guy. And I'm sorry. You placed yourself in this situation. You know this. But I must say that you were, for whatever time you were on this earth, a very valuable assistant and a prominent mind. But sometimes certain risks need to be taken, and whether they make it or not, that's not in our hands.
Fuck you. I try to cough black bile into his mouth.
Oh,
Well, it does splatter against the shield of his helmet.
That's right.
As your
Dr.
helmet,
Venus.
you realize now that you've taken it off. You don't even realize when you did it. You're exposed into the air now, and everything is hazy. You feel your hand on your temples and the pulsing of your veins as if they're burning with lava. The doctor's words are echoing, and now it makes so much sense how you were assigned the ability to step out from your sector. For you to be given field work after requesting it year after year and to be denied after all that you've been through, especially with your recent transgressions, it all makes sense now. Someone wanted you on the outside. Of course, that's the last coherent thought you have before you feel your body slowly burn away.
And as that happens, I casually put it to your temple. And I said, like I said, secrets to the grave. And I pull.
The gunshot with the silencer is like a whisper, but your head explodes. And Dr. Venus, you are very dead. We'll be right back. Mirin. Agent Mirin. The last operation was messy to say the least. The battlefield was compromised in a number of different ways. You managed to maintain control. The rest of Project Nero, the specters that oversee you, are pleased with your performance. However, there was a cost. Hacksaw is dead. Motormouth, wounded but not infected. Agent Frank Weller, alive. Spectre Delta 7, infected, terminal. Your unit is now incomplete. You'll be taken out of active duty for the next week or so until your team can be reconstituted. It gives you a certain amount of R&R, but within the confines of this research facility that's outside of Cahoga Falls, there is a certain amount of protection that you're given and a little more freedom than would otherwise be available to you. There are a number of these white structures that have been erected here to allow the research necessary to be undertaken without much danger. Fellow Spectres and other Sentinel Guardians are throughout the camp. You are still within your sealed armor, but you have undergone all of the decontamination necessary for you to enter into any of the research facilities without any sort of complications. You'll be allowed to go anywhere that you have clearance for. You're aware that Delta 7 is being held in the main complex. You've also been told by your superiors Delta 7 has chosen to volunteer, to give their life to the project, and to allow themselves to be observed as the black bile infection takes root. You know that they have a very limited amount of time, but you know what this entails, and you know that it will keep Delta 7 behind glass for the last remaining moments of their life. What do you do?
Does Mirin know who's the final say on whether Delta 7 stays behind glass or can at least be useful and spend that time in the field?
There are a number of superior officers that you could go to. However, this encampment has someone whose authority will never be questioned. Dr. Banerjee, son of one of the cornerstones, is present within this encampment. A figurehead, a leader.
And I also assume that when Mirin came in, and she's very plugged in, that she might have heard about Dr. Victor Ramos being back in the mix?
You're aware. You're also aware that a number of individuals have been detained, gathered from the remains and the wreckage of the small community that you and your other agents salted recently. There are many strange occurrences that happened on that operation. However, now the appropriate research material has been gathered, the mission is complete, the community has been silenced, and it's just a matter of time.
Okay. Mirin has a couple of stops that she'd like to make,
Tell me about it.
just to get some things straight. First stop is Delta 7. Second stop is Dr. Victor Ramos. And third stop is Dr. Banerjee.
Very well. You move through the research facility, and the other specters nod to you. Your ranking within the facility is understood. There will be doors that you will not be allowed through, you know this, but this is a low security area, one that you have no problem entering into. When you see Delta 7, they're behind glass, sealed away, covered in neoprene, head to toe black bandages that cover whatever is remaining of their skin. You know how badly they were burnt. There are a number of IVs attached to them, and you see a heart monitor on the wall. The beep of their heart rings out around you.
Well, that's so steady, you could almost dance to it. Delta 7?
Mirin.
You know, I knew that I should have stuck to you like glue. I should have thought that one of my best members of my squad might volunteer to just lock themselves away behind glass and just what? Watch reruns of Golden Girls on VHS? Is that what you have planned for, your last moments here? That sounds like a really good way to end things, but don't you actually want to be useful? Don't you actually want to be out in the field where you belong? I know how hard you fought to become Delta 7, which is usually only a position for clones, and you're a natural born. It's amusing to me that you would instead want to just be here like a little lab rat. Oh, I'm sorry, rats are aggressive. A little lab mouse.
I'm contaminated.
And?
It was this, or a shot to the head, missed.
I could have given you that shot to the head in the field, Delta 7. But you're worth much more than this. At least to me you are. Maybe not to yourself, but that doesn't matter to me what you think you're worth. I know what you're worth. And being here for these scientists to poke and prod you, that doesn't work for me. And I know it doesn't work for you. So what do you say? How about I have a little conversation with some of these eggheads, and we actually get back to doing the good work?
Fine. As long... I don't talk much, Mirin, but I listen plenty. And I don't much see how you're going to get me out of being dead.
Oh, we're all gonna die, Shug. Personally, I hope I die screaming in ecstasy, but that's not gonna happen. None of us have a peaceful death in our futures. The only thing that really has meaning is what we can do for the world moving forward. Our world, not the topsiders, not anything like that. It matters what we put into it. They can infect somebody else to sit here behind glass. I need you in the field. And I promise you, when that moment comes, I will put the bullet in your head myself.
The cell across from Delta 7 is dark. There's a flicker of red light. There's movement on your 6, Mirin. You feel the hairs on the back of your neck raise. You know what that means.
I immediately pivot.
You turn. There are other infected subjects here. You see a woman, what used to be a woman, staring at you with white, dead eyes. Her lower jaw is gone, and her tongue hangs down around her neck, lapping against the glass. Her hands are spread out. Do you see this, 7?
You talk a real pretty picture, Mist. How are you gonna keep me from being that?
Oh, that? Please, she's into me. That's why that happened. But you, have I ever not delivered on a promise that I have given to my squad? Ever in the time that you have known me or heard of me? I promise you a bullet in the head before anything like that happens to you. Do you doubt me, Delta 7? Do you doubt my word on that fact?
I believe in the mission. Being that helps the mission.
Being that helps nobody but an analyst within this lab. Being that only helps what we're fighting against. One thing that these eggheads don't seem to really take into consideration is the determination of someone to fight becoming that. And that's what I'm going to present to them. Because personally, I believe in your determination, Delta 7. I don't know about your skills in that last mission, but I believe that you, with every fiber of your being, will fight just like you fought for the position on my squad. And that's what I'm going to present. But if you don't even believe in that, then I'm not going to waste my time. Do you want that bullet now? I can kiss it before I put it in my gun.
Anything but that.
Oh, you're doing those death daggers at me. You know that gets me riled up. Don't tell me you want to tussle before you're going back out into the field. Just let a lady know.
All right.
Make an endurance check for me, Delta. You have 3 black dice of difficulty.
Oh, boy.
Is there any way with the command roll or anything to help lessen at least the black dice of difficulty on that?
You're welcome to
Sorry,
share
not
your
good.
competency points.
Okay.
Mirin doesn't have a lot of empathy.
1075. Okay,
You
that's
asked.
3 degrees of failure.
So be it. You have 3 competency points.
Let's take it down to 2.
Ooh. So you're spending 1.
Mm-hmm.
I will spend 1 to make it just 1 degree of failure.
All right. I'm going to spend 10 risk.
I mean,
I think we've leveled this out as far as it needs to go. You still failed.
Mm-hmm.
You're still yourself. That pulsing is back, though. You watch as that monitor slows, and the beeping slows with it. And then it resumes.
What?
Are we going to pretend like that didn't just happen?
It seems like a reasonable thing to be happening.
It seems like you should have a bit more control over your body. It seems like you have decided that your mind isn't stronger than your body. I could have chosen from any amount of clones to be my Delta 7. You petitioned me. I expect more and the best from you.
Very motivational.
Thank you. I assume you said that with the most sincerity. You work on your strength of will, and I'll work on getting you out of here.
Your bullet.
Oh, I promise. In fact, it would be a pleasure to penetrate you with my bullet.
Delta 7, I would like for you to set your timer to 45 minutes. That's all the time that you have right now.
Alrighty.
Despite the motivational speech that Mirin has given you,
So encouraging.
there are realities
That
to
is
your
where she
demise.
lives.
You feel it. Mirin, where do you go next?
When Mirin came to Cahuenga Falls, she heard that Dr. Victor Ramos was in residence, presumably lost before with the nest, that Mirin has read some of the redacted that has happened with that report and definitely wants to make that a stop on her final destination to Dr. Banerjee.
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 You have read the official statements, and you know that there's a few layers of red tape that hide the truth of whatever it is that Ramos was in. None of it's good. There was a research facility known as the Nest. It carried much classified research. There's not much left of the Nest. Everything and everyone within it was destroyed, with 2 notable exceptions. 2B74, a subject, and apparently Victor. In fact, that botched mission is the reason that you and this cell from Sector 7 are present. You're here because of the catastrophic failure of the nest. There are a number of medical tents held within this facility. You already know that Victor is being held within one of them.
Being held, but not as a working scientist?
No, he is being accepted back into the fold as a working scientist. There are questions that have to be answered, and there is a very long process of decontamination that he's facing. You've seen somewhat optimistic reports that he may be able to return to Sector 7 eventually, but it's uncertain. His exposure was fulsome. There are levers that could be pulled to assist him in this, but more importantly, you know that he's being cared for and looked after very closely. Nero takes its research assistants and doctors very seriously. These are assets. These are individuals who are the cornerstones of what it means for Project Nero's future. They're not tossed to the side. Not like the soldiers that protect them. Everyone has a purpose.
Is Dr. Victor Ramos being held behind glass, or is this a conversation that can happen face to face?
I mean, you're still in your armor, but if you mean directly, Victor's not being held behind glass.
Okay. So in my armor, I can go in any section that I'm authorized to go into.
That's correct. And there are, again, low clearances being held on the ward that he's held in.
Okay. Then still in my suit, I will go to Dr. Victor Ramos.
You're certainly not alone. Everyone is fully suited. The researchers, the specters, and the sentinels that guard every single section of this complex. You walk through it and you see cameras everywhere. You know that you're being watched. This is not new to you. This is how things are. You must be monitored for everyone's safety. You make it into a medical ward, and you see a number of gurneys that stretch out within a very long room. The blank whiteness of the polycarbonate material and the aluminum glare brightly under the intense light that is spilled out throughout this entire facility. It's bright. There are both other patients and other things being held here. There's a monkey in a cage. Another outsider, a woman, strapped to one of these gurneys. And then you see him, and Dr. Banerjee standing over him. He's lying on a gurney and he seems to be unconscious. There are a number of assistants moving about him. There's a wheelchair close at hand. He's not being restrained in any way. Dr. Banerjee, you see a familiar face. You've only been in the field once or twice together, but you know Agent Mirin well. Her reputation precedes her.
Do I notice her come in through the door, or am I focused specifically on?
I'll leave that to you.
Okay. I would imagine that probably the swishing of the door alerts me, and I look up like, Agent Mirin, it's been a while.
It has indeed, Dr. Banerjee. Is it Dr. Victor Ramos is unconscious on the gurney? Okay.
He's stirring.
Well, it seems like you have just about every kind of breed and degree of lab rat that one could possibly hope to have. I mean, everything from monkey, how did you get a monkey, to just all these gurney folk, and even my own personal skilled and trained soldier as part of your, Okay, I know what I call them. You know, your infected flock. But what is it that you call them? Specimens or
The unfortunate.
the unfortunate? Oh,
Yes.
that's right. That's what you.
At
call
least
them.
that's what I view them as. It is a terrible thing to see them go through, and at least we try to do our best to keep them comfortable, and at least in their last moments, give them some semblance of care, as best as we can in these situations and circumstances. But yes, what brings you to this facility?
So many things. So many things. Had a semi-unfortunate mission that happened this past time.
Yes, I'm quite
I
aware.
assume you heard about Hacksaw.
Do I know?
Deceased.
Uh,
Another soldier. Lost in the cause.
Yes, I've heard. I'm sorry for your loss.
Yes, your empathy has always been interesting to me. So, Dr. Banerjee, I mean, can I call you by your first name? Haven't we gotten to that point?
Well, I mean, I do believe we're in a professional setting, but if you ever choose to perhaps share a drink sometimes, I'm sure we can go on first name basis, but we are in a work environment, and I feel that it is most appropriate if we go by our last names, if you do not mind.
Okay, no problem then. Dr. Banerjee. There are a number of things that need to happen outside of this lab environment.
Indeed.
And those things are part of our world, our new world moving forward. Those things serve a purpose. And those things are how I best serve our cause. And what I'm speaking of is that looking around here, you have so many specimens already that you can test for infection or infect. We don't talk about the ones that we infect, but you know, and everything in between. I have a distinct need for 2 of the multitudes of the unfortunate that you have to better further our cause.
If you could elaborate, I don't quite follow what it is you're exactly asking.
Oh, of course. Let's take like a little stroll past the Gurney folk while we talk.
Indeed.
There is an agent that steps forward. This is Alpha 6, known as Albert to some, a long-standing protector of both you and some of the other research facility personnel. Alpha 6 steps in front of both of you. Dr. Banerjee, is there a problem here?
No, everything's fine. I know Agent here quite well. We've had our previous engagements. We're just having a conversation about what best way I can serve them, so...
Of course, Doctor.
Yes.
If there's a breach in protocol, though, we can escort the agent to their quarters, if that were
are you
your
promising
requirement.
to come there with me? If not, then I think Dr. Banerjee and I are doing just fine. And please, Dr. Banerjee, I know you can call me Mirin, though.
Indeed. We're doing fine. If you don't mind, we're going to go and have a conversation. If you need anything, let me know, but you know the protocols.
Understood, Doctor. Agent
Alpha 6.
Alpha 6 steps back away from you, but never breaks eyes away from Dr. Banerjee. As you watch, Mirin, you can see that this agent has a very specific purpose, and you're not sure if something coded was just said, but you can roll a detect motive.
Sure, let's do it. I rolled a 17. I have a 55, and then I have some other things that go into that. So that is 5 degrees of success.
The Alpha series are usually placed within specific details where they are protecting high priority targets. People of great interest within Nero are usually assigned an Alpha. There are classified modes of conversation that you're not aware of, but you know enough. There have been some red flags raised, and something isn't being said, but being communicated. As the two of you start to walk towards the door, however, I would like both Remy and Victor to roll endurance checks.
Get a good one?
I finally did.
There you go. 4 degrees of failure.
1 degree of success.
While Remy remains in a peaceful black abyss of slumber, Victor, your eyes open, and though hazy, you simply ache. You don't feel ill at all.
Do we hear him waking up?
You do.
If you'll excuse me 1 moment, please.
Oh, can I take that competency point for that 5 degrees of...
You may.
Nice. Dr. Ramos, how are you feeling?
I walk over as well.
Thirsty.
Yes. Someone please bring some water for the gentleman.
An assistant appears with a pitcher and glasses.
I try to sit up.
No, perhaps not quite just yet.
No, let him sit up. He wants to get on up.
If you don't mind, Agent, this is my field. I do appreciate your input, but the poor man needs some rest. He's had some stressful environment, and he's not been himself since the moment he's come to this facility, and I don't think it'd be good of him to stress himself further.
I understand that. This is something that we've always been on different sides of the fence with. I feel like one shouldn't coddle everybody. If someone wants to just sit up, then I think it's good for the spirit. It's good for that being spirit.
Normally I would agree, but not everybody has the same level of capabilities as yourself. The constitution to be able to brush off bullet wounds and...
As they're talking, I'm getting up out of the bed, for better or worse.
You're
dear.
never going to let me live down that bullet wound, are you, Dr. Banerjee?
Yeah, well, then you have to stitch up 17 of them at a certain point. You begin to just wonder.
Stop talking! My head hurts.
Please, doctor. Can you please take rest?
I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here. Get me the fuck out of here.
Where do you have to go, Vicky?
Do I recognize that voice yet?
You do.
He stops. Where am I? What's going on?
I'm Dr. Banerjee, your co-worker.
Yes, no. What?
You are at a facility. You came here not a day ago at most.
I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna start to head towards the nearest door.
Oh,
I'm not
where are you-
totally myself, I'm sure.
Can I get some assistance here, please?
Immediately you feel an armored hand push you back down into the gurney.
Where are you trying to go, Vicky? There is no escape here. Didn't you hear, Dr. Banerjee? You are practically an unfortunate, and you have to rest. Maybe we should strap you down just so you could rest
No, it's...
peaceably.
Miss Mirin, I don't think your conversation is helping at this point. I think he's getting further stressed. Perhaps we can give him some space.
Is that you, Mirin?
It's me, Vicky.
I'm gonna try to reach out, and I know that... I mean, I don't know what I know. I'm just gonna reach out and try to grab for Mirin's shoulder. And if I find it, I give you a very, very, very tight squeeze.
I think if it's okay, I'm okay with him finding it to give a tight squeeze.
It's weak. Perhaps not quite as tight as Victor would have liked for the squeeze to be, but the communication is made.
You know, Dr. Banerjee,
Yes.
perhaps you're right. And we had so many conversations while you were stitching me up with those bullet wounds. You know that I kind of jump ahead for things. And sometimes things need to take time, and people need to take time to heal from their wounds so that things can be explained. Perhaps, I don't know, maybe a warm blanket and a glass of milk. Maybe that's what a Dr. Victor Ramos needs.
I mean, that was the goal indeed. If you don't mind,
shivering.
Get this man a blanket and a meal, and please.
Assistants are immediately following through on your orders. He's given a number of blankets. His vitals, however, are checked. Dr. Ramos, is this physical or is this an act?
This is this is an act.
As I assumed, I wonder if you'd like to bid a skill to help me perhaps persuade.
Yeah. Well, if I may, yes, persuade.
Go ahead and roll. You've realized that this character isn't able to lie as easily as some of your previous characters.
Okay, well, that would have, if I was playing somebody else, would have been a
And
success.
yet you're not.
I am not. That is, I rolled a 68. My persuade is 33. So is that
3
is
degrees of failure.
3 degrees of failure?
Do you wish to spend any competency to alter this result?
No.
As the assistants test the vitals, Dr. Banerjee, you see this for what it is. A ruse. You're all there. Over this gurney. The assistants look to you, Dr. Banerjee, and say, vitals seem to be stabilizing, Doctor.
That's good. That's a relief indeed. Perhaps we can leave him for a bit to take some rest, and then you and I could have this conversation that you wish to have.
We can have this conversation. I mean, personally, I think it's a psychological thing, which, you know, we've never really been able to measure medically. Isn't
Indeed.
that something? All this time underground, and we still haven't found a thing for that. I'm not complaining or critiquing. I'm just making a point.
Well, science can only come so far with what we have, so hopefully in the future we can. But in the meantime, perhaps we can leave our patient be and give him the rest he needs. I think our presence is acting him up.
I think it might act him up no matter what, but I am good to continue our stroll, Doctor. I still have the
Fantastic.
things that I wanted to talk to you about.
Excellent. Well then.
And I'm okay with not leaving this room. I know that you're very attached to all of your gurney folk. I'm sorry, your unfortunates.
Well, I do have an office, and I think a little bit of privacy can be good in this situation, if you don't mind.
Of course, after you, Doctor.
After me.
When he steps,
Oh, go ahead.
when he steps in front of me to continue forward, I'd like to do a quick kneel to whisper into Dr. Victor Ramos's ear. I'm very cool with doing a stealth roll for this.
I think a stealth roll is appropriate if you don't want to be seen.
Okay.
Oh,
That was a very unnecessary
Stressful dice
pile
roll.
of dice that just came out of Nox's roll.
Wow.
Okay. I rolled a 47. My stealth is a 45, so it is a wash, which I am okay with.
Go ahead and whisper,
Okay.
please.
So many things to talk about. So many things that we are going to have to settle. Vicky, I'm getting you out of here. And then I follow Dr. Banerjee.
Before I leave,
Mm-hmm.
as this exchange is happening and she's not making eye contact with me, I look to Agent Alpha 6.
That's correct, Alpha 6.
And I assume that we have certain signals we can communicate without verbally communicating it.
Yes.
So I do so, and I point at or look at both of them, especially Dr. Ramos, and essentially say, watch him closely. And
There's
do
a very,
essentially
very slight nod. And you
do
know.
what you must.
Hmm. Oh, interesting. Very well. So the two of you.
If you must do what you must. If
Oh
you
well, they're
must.
hand signals and silent motions. There's only so much that can be communicated. I think you said what you said.
I literally said 3 lines and then,
Okay.
stood back
Makes
up and
sense.
I'm looking at you and Alpha like, all right, cool.
All right.
There's a lot of tension in this room as the two of you walk out to your office. Remy, I'd like for you to make one more endurance check for me, please.
I almost don't want to wake up and roll this. Oh no. That is endurance, where'd you go? Like 5 degrees of failure.
You're sitting in front of a fire, and it's warm. Sinet's across from you. It's hard to see his face. There's shadows across it from the flames. This is a scene that you're familiar with. So many nights. You and whatever survivor camp you traveled with, the two of you would just sit by the fire and talk. Share the simple things of the day. Small things. And in those small spoken words, an ocean of meaning was often communicated. The two of you had fallen away from each other years before, but Sinet was always there, always by you, helping your research, doing what needed to be done while you were in the field traveling with a rag and bone. You never stayed with groups for too long. You couldn't risk it. If you had, others might have found out what you were really doing. Sinet was really the deep well that you whispered all your secrets into. Now you're sitting across this fire and you can't see his face, but you see his silhouette. And he's coddling in his arms your son. The son the two of you had together.
Senate? Senate, are you there? Are you still here?
Victor, you just hear the murmur of the woman in the bed next to you. You know who she is. As you look over now, you realize this is the woman that saved you. You only saw her briefly, but she's here. She's restrained. And she's murmuring a name. Sinet.
Have Mirin And Dr. Banerjee exited.
Yes.
I'm going to reach up to whatever assistant is right next to me.
They're moving about. There's one that's testing all of the equipment that you're hooked up to.
You come here. Help me up.
The doctor was very clear.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm a doctor as well, and I'm here to do some work. I'm feeling a lot better.
Very well. What would you like? We'll get it for you.
I want to observe the subject.
You may be a doctor in other contexts, but here you're a patient. I have my orders. If you wish to observe, you can observe from your bed. Do we need to sedate you?
No, you don't. You are a research assistant, are you not?
Yes.
Do you need me to pull rank?
How can I assist you, doctor?
Get me over there to the subject so I can make some observations that you are clearly not qualified to make.
Very well, but I am not responsible for
You are not
anything.
responsible, that is correct. Get me over there.
Very cowed, the assistant helps you into the wheelchair and wheels you over to the unconscious woman.
I'm going to check their vitals.
Stable. There are some bruises, cuts. There's a mark from what is clearly one of the electrical prods that the specters use to knock individuals unconscious. They're burn marks. But other than that, she seems to be fine.
Is she still murmuring?
Yes.
Hey, do you hear me?
Remy, you open your eyes, and we'll come back to you. Meanwhile, in your office, Dr. Banerjee, everything is as it should be. There's nothing else here that seems out of place. Everything is fastidious and well taken care of. Your assistants have done their work well.
I walk into the room, and as I'm so sorry, Mirin enters. You see him at the desk, and he's pouring 2 glasses of. Is there alcohol in this world?
Ooh, bourbon, please.
Yes.
There are a number of amenities that you have access to.
Yes.
This does mean, however, that the room will have to be sealed, and if you are going to drink, you're going to remove your helmets, which, as both of you have been through decontamination, is your purview. However, the doors must be properly sealed.
Masks on or masks off, Doctor?
Either way, I think it's more of a symbolic thing. If you want to take a drink, feel free. I have it available. I just, for my duty and the sake of my facility and those that work for me, I need to take certain level of precautions. We did actually have an incident only just the other day, unfortunately, so forgive me. But
So you're not going to seal the room so we can talk face to face? Is that what you're saying?
I would
Your
imagine
prerogative.
that the room can be sealed regardless.
No, it absolutely can. Yeah. And like I said, if you seal the door, the room will have a number of protocol that will be taken into place, and the air will be filtered. Yeah. So it would be as if you were in your own suit. The two of you, though, are making a choice. It's not against protocol. You're allowed to do whatever you like, Doctor.
Yeah.
If it were the agent making the request, that would be a breach of protocol. However, because of your authority, you're able to do as you see fit.
You see him reach over and press a button and hear that sound of air leaving and filtering through. And you see him finally take off his helmet. Gets stuffy in there after a while.
Mirin takes off her helmet, and you see snow white hair that's been colored purple and lavender and different streaks in the front. Jagged, but works for her kind of haircut. And I don't know how you can really, but like a muscular neck. Like there's some ripped going on with that. And places her helmet on the desk to then hold a hand out for the bourbon glass.
As you receive the bourbon, you see him.
My complexion, by the way. my complexion for Mirin.
Similarly, you see a very dark-skinned man, not fairly average. No, nothing too, what one would consider handsome or attractive, or at the same time on the other spectrum, just fairly decent. You could tell that his hairline is starting to recede a little bit. It's like getting to that initial stages, but he's compensating, it seems like, instead with a beard that is very neatly trimmed and taken care of. And he kind of just hands you one glass, and he goes, "Well, Mirin, cheers."
Cheers.
You can call me Shivam, by the way.
Oh, well, I was wondering, since now, we officially shared a drink again.
It's been a while, yes. So what do I owe this pleasure to?
Well, you know that I am a straight shooter, Shiva.
Always.
You know that I am. And you know that I respect your work because it is all about the bottom line. It is all about what we can do for our society moving forward. It is all about what we can do for our new world versus the Romeros, versus the Topsiders. That's why we have the cloning program. That's why you have your program with your unfortunates. That's why I have my elite squad of individuals that go out and take care of problems and bring back subjects, and in particular are able to handle the mutations that are happening on the top side. I need, and again, I'm not one for persuasion. We know the Shivam, that's not where I live. But I need at least 2 individuals from this facility, and I am open to another, barring your recommendation for things, but I need Delta 7 back.
Delta 7, I believe they were recently brought in. They're infected, though.
Yes, he is, but that's just a thing. That's just a thing. His strength of will it's not comparable to anything that I've seen before. You know that Delta 7s are usually clones.
Indeed.
That is the first natural born Delta 7 that there has ever been on a squad, and on my squad. I'm not ready to let him go.
Natural born, you said.
That,
Curious.
if you don't make that public knowledge, let's just say that was a little nod between professionals.
Secrets to the grave.
The other person that I would need, as wonderful as Agent Weller was, he was a coward. Very good with the medical, very bad at commands, and I cannot have anyone on my squad that does not take commands. I need a different medical professional, and I know that Dr. Victor Ramos takes commands well.
The man that is in that room swooning at every step he takes. You want him?
That's all psychological. Dr. Ramos has a history of being... Do you remember, it was in the VHSs, those Chihuahuas, those Pomeranians that were...
Oh, the little rat-like dogs. The tiny little things.
The little dogs that would bark at a lot of things but didn't really mean it.
Yes, I've seen those videos.
Yes, the Pomeranians. That's kind of what, like, Dr. Victor is.
I've always known him as quite a prominent figure in the field and a very astute mind.
I mean, when it comes to his boo-boos and his ills, it's a whole lot of, yapping, but really, it's all psychological.
Like I said before, not all of us are cut out like you are and your team. But why do you want someone who's already infected. I don't think that that would do much good for them or yourself, because you're constantly having to look to your six, constantly have to wonder when they would turn and harm not just you, but the rest of your team. I don't know if I can make that decision lightly.
Well, Shivam, what is different out there on the top side that is kind of hard to explain down here is that you are always looking on your six. You are always looking for that next bite. You are always doing that. There are things that I can trust, and those are the things that you have to lean in on. I can trust Delta 7's commitment to his position and to our cause. He can trust that I will shoot him in the head at the first sign of turning, and I would enjoy that because that is a gift to my soldiers. I'd expect the same gift to me.
Unfortunately, I cannot even guarantee how long he has. He's been here at least a day already, and he has shown multiple signs of turning. As you said, he has great willpower, but how long that would last, I wouldn't know.
Well, if you could authorize a few more antiviral treatments, like I said, I will take another member to your discretion on my new squad that has openings, unfortunately. And with that, you can analyze the turn-in of Delta 7 up to the point of termination. But it is a crying shame and a crime to have such an elite individual spend the rest of their time behind glass. So maybe just few more antivirals and you get all this analysis that would happen actually real time in the field with use from Dr. Ramos and then whoever else you would like to bring along with my squad. I mean, there's a spot for you, Shivam, if you're feeling froggy and want to jump.
I mean, you already know I've done my time in the field. I would never say no, but it really depends on what the mission is and if it is a particular scientific endeavor. Quick question: the facility that got salted, what is it? It's
The
general
nest.
the nest. Is it general knowledge on who owned that facility?
No.
Okay.
Dr. Banerjee, you're enjoying this drink and this conversation. You have 5 minutes until initiation.
Well, if that's what you need, perhaps I can make something of it. Indeed, I will have to pull some strings because it is not clear protocol to send someone like that out. But if it is something I trust you that you are capable and do what needs to be done, then perhaps you're right that they would be better served out there than in here. My apologies, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I do promise you every bit of the data that you could hope to have, and probably things that you don't even have at this point, because this isn't something, like you said, we usually do, not usual protocol. So isn't it good to have all of the data? I mean, this is just between you and me in this sealed room. I'm kind of looking forward to being the one to take Delta 7 out. Yeah.
I have a very morbid sense of camaraderie.
Meanwhile,
It's an honor.
elsewhere within the facility, Remy, your eyes open and you see your former patient in a wheelchair with different clothing, white medical gowns. You're wearing the same. This facility is full of assistants moving about. You're at a white void. You're on a very thin mattress on a metal table. Your arms and your legs are tethered to it. You're restrained.
Hey, look, guys. with this person whose name I'd never got. And I just stare.
Just follow my finger. I'm gonna do this just as a test to see how with it you are.
I follow. I don't say anything.
Can you hear me? Can you understand what I'm saying? Just give me a simple nod.
I nod slightly.
Very good. Thank you. I understand that you were the reason why I'm still here, back in that town. You're safe for now. But
I start to struggle to see if I can get out of the restraints at all.
No, don't do any of that. Don't resist, don't fight. Listen, you are not in charge. Researchers, you're being monitored. Your vitals are fine. I'm going to point my finger across the machinery and just kind of guide this doctor, assuming that she's hopefully going to understand some of what I'm pointing out. Your heart rate, your vitals, everything is looking good.
You need to let me go.
I am not authorized to do that. And anything that looks suspicious is going to end it very badly for you. So you need to cooperate. People know about you here. And you will be in capable hands.
Why should I trust you?
You shouldn't. But I know that you are one of the reasons why I'm here.
So you owe me. You have to get me out.
I wouldn't use that language exactly. Yes, under other circumstances, there would be a debt that would need to be paid. But that's not how things work here.
I was told to let you die. I should have.
No, you shouldn't have. Because I will help you however I can, but your defiance and your resistance and a bad attitude is not going to go over very well here at all.
Are you Citadel?
No. No, we're not that. We're much more advanced.
Where are we?
In a facility outside of the town that...
No, who owns this? Who are you?
All of that will be revealed in time. Here's my advice. It is already understood that you are very good at what you do, Doctor. That in a lot of ways you're ahead of the game. Make yourself useful here. There's a lot of doctors here and a lot of scientists. We all start to blend in. So make sure that you set yourself apart. And you have a lot of real-world experience that can help you do that.
And where are the people I was with? Where's my team?
They're all here somewhere. Not a lot of them made it out, but some did.
Okay.
Make yourself useful.
I don't have a choice.
Look around. Look around. There's patients here.
Hold. Delta 7.
Hiya.
The doorway to your cell opens. No one is on the other side. The lights go out everywhere in the complex, with the exception of your office, Dr. Banerjee. You hear other doors opening as well, all throughout the corridor that you're within. Delta 7, what do you do?
Is there protocol for this?
This is a containment breach. This entire facility is probably going to be salted.
What would I normally do if I weren't like this?
What would the protocol tell you to do?
Mm-hmm.
Secure the facility. Make sure that nothing gets out. You should arm yourself. Find weaponry. You're currently tied up to the wall with a lot of medical tubing. You'd have to take a lot of needles out of your arms, but you're not being held, and the door is wide open. In fact, you hear something moving into the hall.
I begin to remove the medical tubing from myself as carefully as possible. There's a door opposite the hallway. I'm already infected. I'm going to try to place myself in front of it and barricade that door so that whatever is in there can't get out. Minimize damage.
You're bleeding. You dribble blood all across the floor. It's dark, but there are red lights that flash throughout the space. It's like a camera flare. One after another, you see brief moments of your surroundings, and then it plunges you back into pure and utter darkness. The alarms are sounding. There should already be agents here, but there are none. You step out into the hallway and you see it. That thing that was in the cell across from you. Her jaw gone. It's one of the river people. Her tongue is now lolling out of this gash that has extended her mouth unnaturally down the throat. Eyes pitch black.
Using what's left of my strength, I tackle.
Go ahead and make a brawl check for me, please.
Shit. That is 5 degrees of success.
I'll give you a competency point.
Thank you.
And I'll let you narrate how you tackle this thing.
I stand stiller than still for one moment as this thing lolls at me, and then slowly raise a hand and then throw myself forward with my hand against what is left of that jaw as I slam her down into the ground.
She's pinned to the ground. She's fighting against you, but your strength is far too much. You feel the surge of power within this revenant beneath you. It's not normal. It's not one of the simple dead. But you've still got it well in hand, as it's held on the pristine white floor, black ooze seeping out of its wounds. Its eyes find yours, and it doesn't seem aggressive towards you. It almost seems as if you're not there. A brick wall that it can't get past. It's struggling, but it's not trying to harm you. It's not grabbing or clawing. It doesn't see you at all.
Yeah, I can make pretty sounds too.
And I look up trying to see if anyone is coming.
The hallways are clear. There are 2 dead Spectre agents lying on the ground. The inside of their helmets has been smeared with their brains from the inside. There's another body here.
Where?
2, maybe 3 doors down from here. You see the legs in the open doorway. A white lab coat.
I stand back up and make my way towards that body.
Do you let this revenant go?
nobody's coming. And the only reason I was trying to subdue it was for when people came, since a bite would not be a threat to me. So I will let her continue.
She pulls herself up, eyes darting back and forth in those flashing red lights. You see she's hunting, smelling the air, turns to the doorway opposite you and starts ramming themselves into it. And it swings open. The Revenant disappears down another hallway, leaving you here. Which way do you go?
Towards that body in the white coat.
Flash, flash, flash. Red lights, darkness, red lights, darkness. As you start to walk closer and closer to the legs, you see black ichor on the floor in a pool around it. Its head is gone. An explosion of gore, a neck and parts of a face that are indescribable. The back of the head is a giant gaping hole. But you've seen her before, Dr. Venus. There's a gun in her hand.
I reach down and pick up the gun.
You check it, it's loaded. One bullet is gone. There's a data pad lying in the room on the inside. You see the pale flash of it as it flickers.
A data pad isn't something I could communicate with?
Perhaps. Do
I'll
you
go
pick it up? You do so. It's open to a map of this facility. You see overrides. All the doors have been opened on the internal portions of the facility, but the exterior doors have all been locked. There's something else. A small, unopened file at the bottom. Marked The End.
It sucks sometimes to not play a curious character. Before trying to click a file that says The End, would like to see if I can reverse this override.
You can roll digital systems.
Oh, God.
It's not as simple as just using this
Yeah,
data
I get
pad.
it. Yeah,
It's
not this character.
cross-engineering whatever hacking has been done to cause this to happen. Go ahead and roll, please.
Actually, you know what? I think I try for a moment, realize that it's not going to work, and this is not my expertise, and I give up. Because if I monstrously fail this, which I could, I'll break this thing.
So what do you do?
All the doors to leave are barricaded. All the doors inside are open, correct?
You're trapped in here.
Any way to communicate with this thing?
You can roll digital systems.
Every day I have to roll digital systems. I will
Typically,
press...
you would be able to communicate with a pad like this. However,
Right.
this pad has been specifically set up to do one thing and one thing alone.
You know what? It's supposed to be salted if there's a security breach, right?
That's correct.
Maybe that's what this means. So, I'll follow protocol and I'll press it.
A manifest opens.
Ooh.
Data file. It's a lot of very broad strokes of research. However, there's one bit that catches your eye immediately. Nero has lost the way. This is the only solution. My death will pave the way for 1,000 cuts. And in this moment, the end begins. And it's signed Dr. Venus.
Scientists. I'm trapped in here. The most that I can hope for is that they will find and contain whatever is left of me. I think I will spend whatever time conscious I have trying to look and see if there's anyone in this facility that needs help.
You start moving further down the hallway. Do you go the direction that the Revenant went?
I do.
There are other doors here that are open. Smears of black and gore on the walls. As you move deeper into the complex, you realize there were other things that are out there now.
Are they all moving towards something? Like she was?
You're not certain, but there does seem to be a general tide to the movement of the dead. They all are moving towards the center of this complex.
Can I move through them?
Some of them are stumbling through. You see dead research assistants lying, their armor in ruin, their helmets cracked and broken. You see the Revenants pulling intestine and meat out from inside of these shells that they've cocooned themselves into. They're feasting around you. And as you walk past them, nothing happens.
The ones that are preoccupied, I don't bother with. If anyone looks particularly tough, and I'm pretty smart, I understand why I'm not being looked at. But if one of them looks particularly tough, I will walk up to them, take their head in my hands, and just put one through their skull.
You drop 3 of the Revenants this way, just walking right up to them. Pow! Like a bundle of sticks just hits the ground. And another, as these red lights continue to flash. And you walk through the space. You feel woozy, and your blood is pounding in your veins. And there's something in the air, Delta, that you smell that makes you so hungry. Like a tang in the air, metallic. You feel a hollow pit rising up in you. It threatens to strike and pull you inward. I need you to make an endurance check, please. 3 black dice of difficulty.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. 7 plus 64 is 71. That's 2 degrees of failure. I'll use my last 2 competence. Wait, I got another one. I'll use 3 competency points to make that a success. Why not?
You barely hang on, spending the last of your competency. You don't have long. You push forward.
Yep.
The next room that you come upon is occupied. Meanwhile, the alarm is going. Remy, you're recently reawoken. But now the lights are out, this red light flashing around you. Victor, the assistants start moving with purpose.
Ooh.
Some of them leave immediately. The sentinels and the specters, a few of them remain, but most of them leave. What do you do?
I understand what this protocol is, yes? Like, this is a breach.
Well, there's a breach.
Okay.
You know that. You don't know what that means, but there is a breach.
Is there, like, a safe house area that we would commonly kind of retreat to, the high-ranking scientists?
Typically, what would happen is you would be taken care of. You assume that as the specters are all moving outward, they are doing their job to protect you, and that the room that you're in is your safe house. There are many individuals here that are wounded, including you. Moving them would be unreliable, ill-advised. They're cocooning you in a web of their own working.
Okay, so I'm going to start to get to work myself. I'm going to loosen the straps. You're important, and I know that Dr. Banerjee.
What is going on?
This means that there's a breach. This means that we're going to be protected because this is valuable. What's in here? You are valuable.
There are Romeros in this building?
I don't know what that is.
The dead.
We call them revenants. Yes.
Fancy. Great. Get me out of here.
I'm going to start loosening them. Your other subject is here as well. Starburst.
Oh my gosh.
I know her. I encountered her before.
Is she in this room? I can't see.
She is in this room, correct? She's going to be skittish. What kind of a... I'm just going to unloose... I'm going to loosen this. Look, I'm going to be right back. I'm not completely letting you out, but I'm at least letting one of her arms out.
Underneath her gurney are her personal effects that have all been sealed.
I'm taking a huge risk. But you need to survive.
I'm going to.
I undo all of her straps. I'm going to go underneath and give her the objects that are in whatever that sack is.
There are no weapons, but everything else that was with you is now in that pack. Your clothing and a few personal items.
Thank you. When I start to get up, do the guards start to look at me or do anything, or do they just let us move around?
The guards are watching, but Victor currently has the authority to do it with you as he sees fit, and they're not questioning what the doctor has chosen to do.
I'm taking charge in this facility. So everyone that's here, all the specters, all the guards, you are to listen to what I say. I need to know, and I point at one of the research assistants, I need to know where the vials are. You know, the ones that the doctors, like in my position, take out into the field? I need to know what those are.
The one of the few remaining assistants that's actually in this room stammers and does what you say. Goes and retrieves a case full of enhancers and gives them to you.
Great. I'm going to start to open that up, and I'm going to see... I want to take an inventory. How many vials do I have?
There are about 7 vials, varying capabilities.
Great. I'm going to take one. I'm looking specifically for one that's like an adrenaline blast, basically. Like one that's going to help me not feel as much pain and be able to, like, increase my physical capabilities.
You have 3 of those.
Great. I'm taking one. I would know how long they typically last in the field.
You have plenty of time.
Wonderful.
Over an hour.
Boom. So you see me lay these out right in front of me. I'm taking one of these vials and I'm preparing one of the syringes and I jab myself with it.
It's an injection gun. And you inject it into your neck. You're watching as the doctor's doing this, Remy. What do you do?
Okay. I gather my things and I run over to where Starburst is. And I try to undo her restraints.
One of the specters through the speaker of their helmet, announces to you, Dr. Ramos, we have orders. The subject's not to be moved or tampered with in any way. You may have control here, but the authority that has asked us to oversee this specific subject supersedes yours.
Understood. I'm not putting up a fight at all. You'll have to stand down.
I'm not moving her. I'm just undoing her restraints and checking on her. That's all I'm doing. I'm not moving her.
It is prudent, perhaps, for us to prepare her just in case we need to move her quickly.
The specters don't do anything and allow you to proceed.
And I would say that if in this case, this kind of situation were to ever have occurred, Dr. Banerjee would have instructed that this subject is priority and number one, needs to make sure that whatever it takes to get them out to be safe. So if that's what they determine in the situation, then they would be okay with it as well. So.
Understood.
Do I notice the monkey?
You see Meg Ryan in a cage across
My
the
monkey.
Where?
That's a name.
I run over to the monkey and I
Looks extremely sad.
I try-
Big dark eyes as it grabs onto the cage and looks at you.
Hey weirdo, I know you don't like me, whatever. I just try to open the cage. Sorry, this is my friends.
As soon as you open the cage, Meg leaps out onto your shoulder and grabs onto your neck,
Okay.
terrified. You feel Meg
right.
shivering.
Okay, all right. Sorry, this is my friends.
Are you sure
and-
this is helping? This seems
no,
like
this
it's more of a
it's my friends,
distraction,
and
an
when I see her, I'm
obstacle
gonna get back to them. And I don't know.
Do I know the fate of her? I mean, I don't know who was with.
You don't know much. Remember, you were unconscious.
Yeah.
Just if there's other people from the town I was in that are here, I need to find them. If they're in this building.
They're not going to let us out of here right now. This is locked down. This is. The
Are
safe
you
house.
searching the room, Remy? Looking for others?
And I have monkey.
There
touch.
are a few corpses that are sealed in these containment units. They're translucent and you can see the bodies underneath. They've been stripped naked and it looks like they're frozen. You pull back the curtain to find this and you see Sinnett in the center.
What did you do? What did you do?
I didn't do anything. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do anything.
Sinnett!
Hold on.
I try to open the case.
No. You're going to ruin it.
Ruin what?
You can't.
He's dead. What did you do?
I didn't do anything.
And I just lean over the case that he's in. And I'm kind of like holding it. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have left. I'm so sorry. And I get up, try to compose myself. You realize that if he's gone, and everyone else I was with is gone, all I have left is this fucking monkey and this girl who was supposed to save us. I don't have any reason to be here.
I understand. But that's not how things work around here.
We have to get out of here.
We do, but we can't right now.
Meanwhile, in Dr. Banerjee's office, the lights are on. The two of you are enjoying a pleasant drink. You know what's happening outside, Dr. Banerjee. Mirin, you don't hear anything. Dr. Banerjee.
All right. Well, if that's what you require, then perhaps we can make some exceptions. I do have some work here, but if you want. And then he leans over and types something into his data pad. He goes, I've sent out the instructions. You can go and grab them if you wish, but be careful. Like I said, I don't know how long they have.
Well, that's awfully accommodating of you, Dr. Banerjee. Shivam, thank you for the drink.
Of course.
Mirin's armed, right? Like with everything?
I mean, yes. Why would you not be armed?
Just wondering. Mirin takes their helmet to then put that back on.
And
So
Banerjee follows.
So Mirin doesn't hear the alarm. She can't hear it in the sealed room.
You don't hear anything. This room, sealed as it is, hasn't changed.
Well then, I will just go ahead and collect part of my squad. Remember what I said. There's an open spot also for someone that you would, either yourself or someone else.
I'll take it into consideration. Like I said, it's been a while since I've been out in the field, so if I can, I'll gladly join you, but perhaps not today.
Well, do you want to accompany me back to the medical bay then?
No, I have some work I need to finish in here, and so, if you don't mind, shut the door behind you, and then I'll meet you later. If you need anything else, let me know. We'll talk very soon.
Well, sounds like a plan, Doctor.
Indeed.
Mira's gonna seal her helmet back on and head over to the door. Can I do a detect motives roll for Dr. Banerjee?
You may, and Dr. Banerjee, you can roll for me a persuade. Remember, you have competency remaining.
Whew. All right, my first roll.
Oh my god, that's so exciting.
Ooh. That's
very good.
Jeez. That's a 4 under a 33.
Okay, so that's 3 degrees of success, and you do have competency that you could spend should you need it. How did you do?
I have a degree of failure.
All right. So you don't sense anything. Banerjee has been nothing but pleasant and has done you a very large favor today.
Yeah, and I'm normally paranoid, but actually my paranoia is a little bit assuaged now. Perhaps everybody is. At least one person could be on the up and up. That's good to know. Kind of a deal.
So do you step out into the alcove?
Well, with the sealed
Absolutely.
helmet, then yeah.
The room,
there's no reason.
The room
there's
is
no reason not to
released,
leave.
yeah. Dr. Banerjee is also in a sealed containment suit now.
Mm-hmm.
You step out, the alcove, just like the room that you were in, is perfectly fine. The lights are on. Nothing seems to be out of the ordinary. It's a long corridor. There are doors on the left and right of you. Nothing seems out of place as you start moving towards the door that leads you back into the main part of the complex. Mm-hmm. Do you close and lock the door?
I do.
And as you reach that final door, Mirin, you see a red light flashing before you hear anything at all from the small glass window on the door. It's a breach.
I do wish that people would stop disappointing me. No, I keep on telling myself I'm too paranoid, but I still think I'm not paranoid enough. And then throwing a dirty look over her shoulder towards Dr. Banerjee's hermetically sealed office.
You're in the window looking out. You can respond however you like.
I would have.
Or if you walked away from the door.
I would have. Yeah, I would have shut it.
There's
and
nothing
walked
there.
away.
There's nothing there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to, like I wouldn't go. I'm going to open the door and go into the breach.
As soon as you open the door, you hear the sirens. And there is a flashing red light, darkness, and then red. And you see an assistant on the ground. Their throat has been ripped out, and their white lab coat saturated in blood, like a rag doll. Shattered vials and equipment lie around them. Dr. Banerjee, is there anything that you wanted to add to this?
I think at this point, is there a way to communicate to Agent 6 from here?
Of course, you have your data pad, and all of this has been accounted for. You have a separate exit within your office that's concealed. You'll be able to leave quite easily.
And then you just see him type in, get the packages out. And then after he sends that out, he goes and presses a concealed button. He moves a couple shelves, a couple books, and then presses the button, and the passage opens, and he steps through.
You walk out into the night, Dr. Banerjee. It's cold, crisp. You, of course, are in your sealed armor, but you feel it through it, the chill in the air. And you look up at the starry night, and you see hanging above you what you anticipated seeing. A brilliant red blood moon. Somewhere in the distance you hear them. Your research was accurate. They're reacting to it. They're driven somehow through the lunar movements into a fury unlike anything that you've seen before. And that's where we're going to end our story tonight.